Brett, what about you, brother?
I grew up in a small town in Colorado called Evergreen, Colorado.
Is that South Park?
Yeah, man, that's South Park. That's right. That's what it's based on. Yeah. Moved to Texas. Went to college at Southern Methodist University afterwards and studied a little bit of classical guitar under Robert Guthrie. After that, I actually met George Jones's bass player when I was in Texas, named James Hawley. He used to play for Tammy Wynette and George. And he suggested he had heard some of my songs I was writing in college. I was playing country bands around Texas, and he suggested I move to Nashville. And try my hand at writing. So I did. Tried my hand at writing in late '90s and failed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I moved. I moved to New York and started writing pop music, which I loved, and rock music. And I was always in rock bands as well at the time. And I was playing all over New York City at the time. And then 9/11 happened, and I had a job offer to work with a guy that I looked up to a lot as a songwriter, Steve Dorff, who had heard some of my music through my cousin. He used to be on a Broadway play with his wife, which was interesting. But Steve asked if I wanted to move to LA and work with him on TV shows, and I did. And he was a mentor to me, and ended up doing TV for the next, decade. And did a lot of TV shows, a lot of great composers with Rick Marotta and Snuffy Walden and Steve Dorff and Laura Cartman, and at that time was writing, I was working as a music editor for them and was also writing here and there, and I had country bands, and then I ended up later on being more and more my own stuff and becoming more of a composer myself and producing and recording a lot of records for different people. And I ended up getting the most recent thing was a movie where we met. I was the music supervisor and composer and writer music on, called Forever My Girl. It was pretty successful. It was out. And that's where we met. And we met through Tim Gates, a friend of ours that was in the band Due West. And so we got together, started talking about things. I was like, I've got this idea for a band. It's kind of a dark country thing, and I'm thinking about moving to Nashville since this movie's kind of opened the door back to country music for me. So I'm thinking about moving back, and there's this guy I used for the demos.
And you played me the demo.
And I played you the demos, yeah. And there's this guy I used for the demos for the movie to pitch the songs to the artists to record. And it was him. It was Troy.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. So we just both happened to know Troy. And we're like, well, hey man, let's just do this together.
I said, hey, we work for the same company. Matter of fact, our office across the hall from each other. So
Yeah.
I can make that phone call right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've always been a country fan, and I grew up doing rodeo as a kid, and in Colorado, and in Texas, and Mesquite Rodeo and everything else, and grew up around country music, and I was a big Chris Ledoux, Charlie Daniels fan, and Willie Nelson, and the Highwaymen, all that kind of stuff, and always liked the outlaw country, which I think this kind of fits in the mold of that. But I always loved pop, and I always loved rock. I was a metalhead.
Yeah.
I was into all the metal bands and all the pop rock stuff. I loved R&B. I kind of liked everything. So.
I was thinking more flock of seagulls.
Swarmed that. Well, before my time, but
Yeah, that hairstyle was a little too outrageous for me.
yeah, that's a little before my time too.
Yeah.
But that's there was some good music in the '80s.
Oh yeah.
Great music in the '90s. But man, I've just always kind of loved everything, and I've always kind of loved taking different genres of music and throwing them together and throwing them in a box and shaking the box up and seeing what you come up with. And I think that this band has a lot of combination of that kind of thing from all of our different influences and stuff like that, because some of us are more traditional country, some of us are more blues and R&B, and some of us are more pop and rock.
I come from the honky tonks. I'm playing
Yeah,
honky tonks.
I think the record showcases that. I think it has a bit of, not everything, but, definitely some of the influences that you just brought out.